Hi, we're with John Rau, the South Australian Attorney General. Thanks for joining us, John. Now, can you tell us a little bit about what it was like inside there with everybody deliberating and what you think of the final outcome of the decision today about R18?
Okay, well look, the deliberations were very positive. There was a strong consensus around the room that the time had come for this matter to be dealt with, and that all of the talk that has gone on over the last few years, while it's been important, had to come to an end, and we collectively had to do something to allow adult people the opportunity of using and accessing games legally that are accessible in other countries.
Now, this in-principle consensus, what exactly does that mean? So R18 will actually be introduced in the coming months, like Mr. O'Connor said?
Yes, the reason it's called in principle is that amongst the detail we looked at today were the actual guidelines for particular classifications. So, for example, exactly what does MA 15 plus contain or not contain? What does M contain or not contain? And I have to say we were really focused on the MA 15 plus more than anything else. So that guideline has changed today from what it was in our draft document. So there are some matters of detail which have yet to be formally signed off on by the cabinets around the country, but those matters of detail are not in any way affecting the R18 decision that there will be an R18 classification, and the only caveat on that presently is New South Wales, because it's a new government, have yet to actually formally have an opinion on it.
So can R18 be introduced before New South Wales comes and says?
Yes.
So how is that possible? Because from what we understand,
it's done at a Commonwealth level. So the Commonwealth, hopefully with the agreement of all of the jurisdictions, will say to the classification board, you now have this new set of guidelines, which includes R18. They will then be able to go ahead and classify according to those new guidelines, and each of the states will then either allow those newly classified games in or not, depending on what each state thinks. And our position is we will have an R18 classification in South Australia.
Now, what about the MA 15 plus? So have you talked any more to your government about how that's actually going to be implemented? Because you said you wanted to fold it into the R18.
Yeah.
So how are you planning to?
Very simple. I'm going to have a whole lot of stickers with R18 written on them.
Okay.
And every
so you personally, or who's going to be sticking
I'll
these?
have to get somebody to do it. I'll have to get a sticker person. But I'm basically going to have a sticker person with a whole bunch of R18 stickers, and that person will go around to the new games which have got MA 15 plus on them and stick an R18 sticker on top of it.
So is that actually a feasible system though, considering how however many games get released every few weeks?
Well, look, it may not be feasible for me or one of my staff to do that, but we can actually say to retailers, if you want to sell these things, this is what we want you to do. So that, I think it's pretty feasible.
Okay, so do you have to get that passed by your cabinet or government first, or can you just...
It's already been agreed to.
So the sticker system will be in place once
I'm calling it a sticker system, but effectively, yes, the relabelling of MA to R in South Australia has been agreed to, in principle, yeah.
Don't you think that will actually be worse for gamers, young gamers in South Australia, because while games around the country are being rated MA 15 plus and R18 plus, and so for example a 15-year-old in Brisbane can play that game which a 15-year-old in South Australia won't be able to play because it will be rated R18. So South Australian gamers kind of come out worse.
Well, it depends what you call worse, and it depends whether you're wearing the hat of the gamer or the parent. So what we're trying to do is strike a balance whereby parents have a really good idea what their children are looking at, and that parents can be very confident that the labelling on the front of the game, which would be either G, PG or M, is going to produce something that they can be confident their children will not find distressing or damaging or anything else. And the flip side of that coin is, once they turn 18, they're going to be able to get the MA 15 plus games, they're going to get the R18 games, so adults will get more choice, parents will get more guidance, younger children will get more protection in terms of what their parents will be able to understand from the labelling.
So do you think it's up to the government to take responsibility in protecting children, or it should be something that parents should be responsible for?
Well, parents obviously are responsible for it. I mean, even with an R18 classification, a silly parent might buy an R18 game and give it to a child. I mean, that can always happen. But look, the reality is many parents do not have the time or the inclination to sit down and play a game from start to finish to work out whether their kids are going to find it suitable. They rely heavily on the labelling. So we're going to be actually putting more focus on the labelling and saying parents can follow that labelling with confidence.
Great. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you.